A couple lessons ago, we created linear regression formula. So y hat equals some value plus or minus some value times x. That formula allows us to make a prediction of what the outcome would be because there is this correlation between x and y, or this relationship between an x and a y. And therefore, we get these predictions. Now, these are just prediction. It doesn't mean it's an exact science, but it's pretty close to what the outcome will be. So let's look at that good old example of our third exam and final exam. And we came up with a linear regression line of y hat equals negative 173.51 plus 4.83 times x. That was our generic line. Now what we can do is for any value we want x to be, we can predict what score the student will have on their final exam score. It is just a prediction. Again, it doesn't mean that the student will score that. It just means it's a prediction. So if a student scores a 73 on the third test, we're going to throw that in for our x value, calculate this out, and we can predict that they would score a 179.08 on their final exam on average. Again, doesn't mean that that student will get that grade. It just means on average, if you had a lot of students and you ran through it, on average, that's what they would score. Let's predict the final exam score for a student who scores a 66. So I'm going to throw up just a normal calculator up here because that's all I need, and it's smaller than the TI-84 because I need to have this equation along with my 66. Let's throw this in there. We have a negative 173.51 plus 4.83 times our 66 will give us a final exam score of 145.27. That would be our prediction. What would we predict if they score a 90 on the third exam? Okay, well, we have 173.51, and that's a negative value, plus 4.83 times 90. We would predict that they would get 261.19 on their final exam. Yeah, that's it. That's what prediction means. This line is the best fit line. Now, maybe they score a little bit more than this. Maybe they score a little bit less than this. But this is a good predictor of what a student would score. Now, I did forget one thing about the final exam. It is only out of 200 points. So the final exam prediction to be 261.19, well, that's just kind of well out of the range. But we could say they would score very well on the final exam. Maybe not a perfect score, but we do have to take in consideration that they can only score up to 200 points, and our prediction is they score 261. It's impossible, but we can say that they'll score very well. Those students that get a 90 on their third exam score should score fairly well on their final exam score. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I am going to run through this, try it really quickly just to give you an answer. So we have a linear best fit line of y hat equals 72.5 plus 2.8 times x. What would you predict the score on a math test for a student who practices musical instrument for 5 hours a week? So apparently there's a relation between the number of hours practicing a musical instrument and scores on a math test. Who knew? All right, so let me drag up my calculator here. It's going to be 72.5 plus 2.8 times the 5 hours they're practicing. We would expect them to score 86.5 on their math test. Who knew that there was an actual relationship between practicing a musical instrument and scores on a math test. But there you have it. All right, that's it for this one. Until next time, be seeing ya.